We know there are many choices in internet radio, and the staff and host of LA Talk Live would like to thank you for choosing the internet's hottest destination for the most eclectic sound and invigorating talk. This is LA Talk Live. We are more than just talk.
Welcome, everybody, to the Born to Talk radio show, where conversation plus connections equals community. I'm your host, Marsha Wietecha, broadcasting in the LA Talk Live studios right here in my hometown of Westchester. Welcome, everybody, to the show. And let me just tell you, that was reeling in the years. Speaking of reeling in the years, a big shout out to my brother Larry. Today is his 65th birthday. Welcome to the Medicare generation, Larry. Glad you're my brother. But today, I know, well, I'm his older sister, I get to say that. But today the show is going to be all about my guest, Rock. And Rock Bordenoff is my guest, and I'm happy to have you here, Rock. Welcome to the studio.
Thank you so much, Marsha. Pleasure to be here. Yay!
Yay!
Applause!
Applause from all our fans. You know, it's going to be very obvious as soon as you start speaking why you are in the career that you're in. And we're going to learn all about that because you've got that voice. You have that voice, Rock.
It's gotten me in trouble my entire life. So.
Well, you know, my voice hasn't gotten me in trouble my entire life, but my mouth hasn't gotten me in trouble my entire life. So maybe it's one and the same, right?
Could be, yeah.
Could be. I thought we'd spend just a few minutes right now just really honestly getting to know one another. If you could tell me a little bit about where you grew up and just a little bit about your background, I'd love to know.
I was born and raised in Woodland Hills area. Actually, born to I was given up for adoption, very young age, and my adoptive parents picked me up at like 6 months, and I had a happy life with them as a only child kind of thing. And lived the valley life, all the way. I was a totally valley dude, and used to, go to Zuma Beach all the time as a kid, and El Camino Real High School, class of '80, yeah, ECR.
That's a very well respected high school. They do very well in the decathlon. It's a really terrific school. You got a good education there, I'm sure.
And back in the day, as a music major, which is what I am, we'll talk more about that later, but. Boy, it was one of the top music schools. I know the people from Granada Hills and Taft are going, no way! But ECR was definitely one of the tops. We won state the 2 years that I was there for our marching band.
So were you in the band?
I was. And they had an incredible jazz program with some notable guys that went on to be like heavy-duty musicians to this day. So it was just a well-regarded music program and a super launching pad for a guy who didn't know what he wanted to do in his life, kind of thing.
It's interesting how there weren't really magnet schools back in those days, were there?
No.
As in Hamilton now, as a music magnet, and they're recognizing that for some kids, going to a specialty high school, was ideal. For you, it was your high school anyway, and you just got the benefit of that.
Yeah, and I was fortunate to be okay with my academic stuff, so to the point where, like a, near straight A student, but the music stuff, I had finished all the academics early, so literally my last year of high school was just was loaded up with jazz band, orchestra, concert band, all of those different things.
Really? All instrument, no singing?
No singing,
okay.
No. It wasn't my thing.
All right.
Yeah.
And did you, what instrument did you play when you were in the marching band?
Well, so trombone.
Okay.
But what was interesting is when I was a very young kid, this voice was constantly, I guess, apparently was, quite remarkable for what it was.
It's rich.
At age 8 or 9. And my parents would always say, we got to get him singing lessons. He would be a great singer. And so we would go to this singing teacher, and it turned out he was a Dixieland drummer. And I remember at like age 10 or 11, hating doing the singing stuff. I used to have to practice to Tennessee Ernie Ford record. You got 16 tons and all this stuff. And there's this little 9-year-old singing all the time, these like stupid records, and Mario Lanza. But I'd go to this guy's house for the lesson, and I'd make him sit down on the drum set and play for me. Just do like a Dixieland jazz solo. And I was blown away by the jazz. I'm like, that's cool. And so, that I would find out years later that would play an integral part in my life kind of thing.
Isn't that interesting how were influenced that way in so many different ways of influences. Now, I know you're married, right?
I am, yes. My lovely bride, Lori, we've been married for a couple of years now, and we actually went to high school together at ECR. So
no kidding.
No kidding, yeah.
At the same time?
Oh, yeah.
You
we
knew
had
each
classes
other in
together.
high school?
We did. We were friends. Nothing ever happened back then. But
wow.
Yeah.
Did you meet at a class reunion or something? How did you get reconnected?
No, just through, I apparently have this very, flourishy type of handwriting kind of thing that was, it stood out, and I signed her yearbook, and she was hanging out with a friend one weekend, and the friend's like, I wonder where that guy is now. Facebook,
exactly.
Boom, there it was. Life changed, so.
Really?
Yeah, really.
And do you have children?
I have a daughter. She's going to be 21 this year, and Lori's got a son. He'll be 16 this year. Both are just great. Daughter's going to Santa Monica College, and now young Jake, he's in a magnet school called New West Charter School.
Terrific.
So,
that's a really good school.
Great school. He's doing killer too. He's a good kid. So.
That's great.
Yeah.
All right. So you're a married man. You got some kids. We're going to talk a lot about your passions. We're going to talk a lot about music. We're going to talk a lot about that voice of yours. We're going to talk a little bit about disc golf that people probably have never heard of. But on your ideal perfect day, what does that look like to you?
It starts out real early. I mean, from my days in radio back in the 90s, and beyond, it was always up at 4 o'clock in the morning. And it's like, I don't even need an alarm clock, and I'm up at 4. So I'm looking at scripts that I'm going to read for that day, whether it's for my existing clients or auditions. And by 6:30, I'm on the air. I'm like recording live, and usually knock off around 1 or 2, and if all things go well, I'm either at the gym, or the perfect day, I'm on the disc golf course somewhere in Southern California.
Sure.
I'm on a disc golf course throwing for a few hours.
Are you on the radio currently? Do you do something?
Only commercial work. I do some imaging for which is like, you're listening to LA Talk Live, that kind of thing, for a friend of mine who's got a show called The Express out of Orlando, Gary Allen. Props to Gary Allen if you're listening,
for
man.
Gary.
Yeah.
Well, if he's not, you need to tag him, right?
Yeah, right. I will.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's archived. You make sure he sees it.
Okay.
But so you do that kind of commercial work.
Yes, imaging for radio stations. I do stuff for the NFL on Sirius XM, Channel 88. And I've been with them for 12 years now, the voice of their network. So I do some MMA stuff, but a lot of other, it's amazing the range of voiceover stuff. I don't know if we'll get into that later
Yes,
or what.
we will.
So, yeah.
I want to get into that because I'm curious to know what voiceover means and how people get into that line of work. And clearly we need to talk about disc golf, because at that point I'm going to have to do a shout out to my cousin who is a disc golfer up in Santa Maria. And we're going to talk about your music too.
Yeah.
So and I'm just taken by that voice, that I suppose that.
Take me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, it's a gift,
It is.
It is a gift. And,
it's a curse as well. Come
on.
Well,
I suppose that there's times when, so I can say that my voice has gotten to me into trouble at times as well. But that was basically when I was in school. And so, unfortunately, if my parents were alive, they would know that I was born to talk. You know what we're listening to?
It's not Jack Teagarden.
If I
were a tower of strength.
This is Gene McDaniels.
Okay.
And it's called A Tower of Strength.
That nice little bone solo at the beginning
I
there?
believe that is a bone solo.
Did you do that for me?
I did that for you.
Marsha.
It's all about Marsha. Stay tuned, everybody. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back. You listen to Marsha and Rock Rocket.
Yeah.
You'd be calling to me. But a tower of strength is a something I'll never be. If I were a tower of strength, I'd watch you cry. I'd laugh at your tears and tell you goodbye. I don't want you. I don't need you. I don't love you anymore.
Hi, this is Dr. J, inviting you to join us every Tuesdays at 11 a.m. for the Happy Health Radio Show. Join us as we discuss issues affecting your health and well-being, where we listen, analyze, and talk with a heart. So don't forget to tune into Happy Health Radio Show every Tuesdays at 11 a.m. exclusively on LATalkLive.com. You can also catch us on iTunes Radio R&B, Radio Flag, TuneIn Radio, Live 365, AHA Radio, TiVo Radio, and Apple TV Radio. Or just watch and listen directly at LATalkLive.com. Reality Radio, handcrafted for your listening and viewing pleasure. This is LA Talk Live. We are more than just talk.
Hi, this is Elena, inviting you to join me every Wednesday at noon for Elena's Beauty Talk and more, exclusively on LA Talk Live. You can also catch us on iTunes Radio, R&B, or watch us on Ustream.tv. Reality radio, handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
Welcome back, everybody. I selected this music for you, Rock, because you played the trombone, and the trombone is part of this Rainy Day Women by Bob Dylan, right?
Everybody wants to get stoned.
Everybody wants to get stoned. Why did they call this Rainy Day Women when everybody wants to get stoned?
That's what we all, That's how
I don't know how the Rainy Day Women even became part of the music. Do you?
It's a mystery, that.
It is a mystery. But we're going to talk about music in this segment. And I guess my first question, I mean, you're born with that voice, but what about music? Was music a part of your family when you were growing up?
The odd thing is absolutely not. Like my father's musical, the extent of his musical experience was a record by the Singing Nuns.
Oh, you're kidding.
No, that was Dominique.
Dominique, of course.
Oh my gosh, how do you know that?
Well, of course.
So yeah, that's really obscure.
No, it's not. I told
Props
you
to Marsha.
The music's always going on in my mind.
So Dominique, the Singing Nuns,
yes.
and my mom she would recall, she was Polish, okay?
Oh, my husband was Polish. So
Toledo, Ohio.
Oh, yes. Hamtramck, Detroit.
So Mashinsky was her maiden name, and it was all about the, beer barrel polka or whatever other polka. So, really nothing musically, of any importance other than the Singing Nuns, to all you fans out there.
and I'm not sure that they were Polish. That's so funny. So you're in a band, and your name is Rock. And for those of you that may or may not have followed the blog from yesterday, Rock spells his name R-O-C-H, which is rock.
It's French.
It's French, oui. I know that, and French fries. That's about the extent of my French. So you came up with the name The Rock Band, right?
Yes, yeah.
And it's a pretty nice play on words, I'd say.
And there's actually a little double entendre in there when you take the initials of The Rock Band, TRB. That is actually the shortened abbreviation for trombone. When you see it in music parts, like guitar is GTR, trombone is TRB. So and I never even thought of that when I named the band.
That wasn't deliberate?
One day I was just putting down TRB. I'm like, oh my
God, that's so cool.
Yeah, right.
So the trombone, do you think you picked up the trombone because you were listening to the man that was in the Dixieland band? I mean, how does a kid choose a trombone?
I'm going to tell you this story.
I'm dying.
There are other people that are musicians that have this story, and I didn't learn this until maybe 5 years ago when I heard somebody else say this. But it was, I was taking electives in high school. You got to knock off the electives, and they had wood shop, gunmetal making, or whatever it was,
Drafting.
and it was like foreign language or beginning band or orchestra. So I'm like, I'm going to be a drummer. I'm getting into beginning band. That's how it's going to start. I'm going to play drums, and get in there. And there were already all these kids who had notes from their parents that they were going to be drummers, and they had first dibs on it, and I was out. I couldn't be a drummer, so I'm going.
Oh, man.
And then the teacher looks at me, and we're figuring, it's kind of like the sorting hat day in Harry Potter. It's like, what instrument are you going to play, And I said, well, French horn, that'd be cool. And he said, no, we already got 3 of those guys. How about trombone? There's a bone up on the wall. You can play that one. I remember it was number 6. I'm going, okay, looks like I'm going to play trombone in beginning band. And that's how my musical career started.
Big. I guess that's not a small instrument.
I was a big guy. So,
yeah. You're big then. Yeah. All right. Yeah. So had you ever even blown into a horn at all up to that point?
No idea.
I just as a side note, so in my junior high school, I was in homeroom with Dr. Christensen, and he was the orchestra person.
Yeah.
And we'd have to sit in homeroom, right? And everybody'd be looking around the floor going, ew, is that spit?
Yeah.
And it was like, ew. So do you spit when you play?
When I'm on stage with my band, a lot of times, especially when we're indoors, I'll just empty the spit valve, very, very blatantly obvious,
so it's
kind of thing. I'm like, this is why trombone players never get invited over to anybody's house,
So is that what happens? I didn't even know that. So actually, by blowing and
It's condensation that forms because the heat, the pressure from the air, and there's some moisture involved, but it's a trapping of moisture from condensation.
And it just gets collected.
Yeah.
As moisture.
Yeah.
And then how often do you have to empty it?
Well, it depends, on how much how much heat you're producing, I guess. For me, it's a lot, so.
So, I mean, more than once during a set, would you? Or...
I'm like a half gallon a set.
Oh,
no, it's not
gosh,
that much.
That's nasty. God. So how long has your rock band been together?
We've been together for a couple of years, and off and on, trying different players and different things. And really, a band, for me, it was a process. Wanting to decide kind of what we're going to do, and then bringing it to the rest of my musicians, who are far and away better players than I am. They're full-time dedicated players, and they make me sound good. That's why, kind of why they're there, but I also love them,
Well, how many members are in a band?
There are 7, including me, in my band. Yeah.
And they play. And so what are the instruments?
It's my good buddy who's also a fellow disc golfer, Frank Villafranca, and he plays all the saxophones.
All right.
And then we have 4 rhythms, so piano, bass, drums, guitar. It's Paul Tavener, Bennett Brandeis on guitar, and then Chelsea Stevens has been helping us on bass recently, and then Jose Fernandez on percussion. So it's a full host of people back there,
When I went and saw you perform, and actually it was pretty cool because the girl was on the bass, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And is that isn't common, is it? Or is it? I don't know. I don't know enough about bands.
A little bit more now. I mean, there's Esperanza Spalding. She's a very well-known bassist, and she's played at the White House recently, and but she sings and plays bass. But Chelsea ended up in my band through Facebook. I put it out like my gentleman I was working with, Giovanni Collier. He's Bruce Hornsby's bassist, and my friend at Bennett B, he turned me on to him. We did a rehearsal, and he was amazing. But I couldn't keep him because he's on the road constantly. Sure. So I put it out on Facebook. Hey, anybody know of any bass players out there? And from ECR, my old friend Martha Stevens, she says, my niece is in LA. You got to check her out. She's amazing. So, that one thing led to another, and now she's in the band.
Sometimes people, social media does have its pluses.
It's powerful.
It is powerful. I mean, you wouldn't have met your wife without it.
I know.
I may have to go on Facebook and look around.
I'd have no bass player and no wife. Wasn't for Facebook.
Seriously. So besides playing the trombone, does that mean you could easily play the trumpet or any other kind? Is it totally different?
Well, there are similarities in the embouchure. Typically trumpet and French horn are smaller, tighter sort of embouchure, where like
what
trombone.
What does embouchure mean?
Embouchure is like the lips coming together and forming that vibration, then the mouthpiece goes over that. So typically trumpet and trombone are much tighter, smaller. Trombone, tuba, much bigger, larger. It's hard to cross over, but there are some guys who can do it. I mean, there's amazing players here in LA. I'm not one of those guys, though. I play trombone and that's it.
You want to know what's so interesting? You know how you hear things in your head? If you asked me to spell the instrument you play, I would spell it wrong, and that's why I say it wrong. It's not Trom, is it?
It is. But it is pronounced. The classical pronunciation is trombone.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
All right.
So back in the day, all the hippies say, yeah, that guy's playing a mean trombone,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's that. So it is. I mean, so if you say trombone, you're not
you're not incorrect.
You know what I'm thinking? Yeah, it goes back to the the Music Man.
Right.
76
trombones led
in the big parade.
No, it's not that way. Yeah.
110 cornets right behind.
That's right.
So when you're with your band, the rock band, because I know you're in other bands we'll talk about as well, do you take suggestions from the audience? Do you have a particular music you like to play?
Like get off the stage, stop playing right now, kind of thing?
Stop in the name of love, right? Off.
No.
Do you take requests from the audience, or do you have a set pretty much in place when you go to play a gig?
If there's a knowledgeable enough, audience member out there that gets what we're doing, because the style of our music, the original idea, let me step back a little
bit.
As a sideman and a musician, as a jazz guy, I'm primarily a jazz trombonist. We would go on a gig and we'd open up what they call a reel book, which is basically standard tunes, that everybody just knows.
Give me an example.
A foggy day, or here's that rainy day, or I don't know. They're just a million songs.
Okay.
I can't even. There's so many I can't even think of them.
Exactly.
But so we would all fake those tunes and just play them on a set, and people would like them. And I thought, man, how much more fun would this be if we had other tunes people knew that were more contemporary, like Back in Black from AC/DC or something from Led Zeppelin or ZZ Top,
Right.
and did them in a more jazz fusion kind of a vibe.
How
So
cool is that?
it's very cool. So when people get that we're doing a jazz thing, then if they'll say something like, "Hey man, can you play Joy Spring?" or something like that, yeah, okay, sure, we'll
You
do
can do
that.
that too.
But if they call out, like we'll do stuff out of the Pink Floyd library, but if they're like, "Can you do Have a Cigar?" Probably not so much. So
And do you sing?
I do I front the band singing a couple of the songs, but
All right.
I always refer to myself as the vocal placeholder. Eventually
All right.
there's going to be a real vocalist. In fact, he's just kind of joined the band the last couple days here. So
Wonderful. Well,
yeah.
and obviously you can't sing and play at the same time. I mean, wouldn't that be a treat?
That would be weird.
That would be
Yeah.
really weird.
Yeah.
That would be really weird. So when you guys play, I know you were just playing this weekend, weren't you?
Yes, we had 2 gigs this weekend. Yep.
And how long does a gig last? What's the length of
Usually a couple hours, 3
All right.
hours max-ish.
with a break?
Yeah,
All
with
right.
breaks and stuff.
Do you have to practice? Do you get together when you're not?
It's
playing?
hard. It's hard with these guys because there are, as I said, dedicated musicians, and they're extremely busy. And I mean, they're doing record projects, TV shows, studio dates, teaching, and just all kinds of things. So getting that many musicians together at the same time to rehearse, it's like herding cats almost.
I bet.
And that's been the trickiest part of having this band, and that's why it's so much easier to be a sideman. It's like I get a call and I just show up. Okay, here I am.
Right.
But we get together. It ends up being like once every other month kind of thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So do you ever go outside of the LA area with your band? Do you play in other areas?
Not at the moment, but I hope to eventually.
All right.
Yeah.
That would be
We
great.
could do that. Yeah, for sure.
And but you said you are also in a couple of cover bands. I think you called them cover bands. Tell me a little bit about that.
I'm sitting in a little bit with a group called the South Pasadena Transit Authority.
All right.
And that's representation of Chicago Transit,
Right. You
CTA,
bet.
Chicago. And they're a great little band, and I kind of like the additional wall of sound support on
All right.
trombone. And then I do a group, play primarily with a group called Dr. Wu, which is a Steely Dan tribute band, and they're just fantastic musicians.
Now,
great
is that
people.
also a really large band as well?
It's 10 people when we're fully
Whoa.
at it. Yeah.
Whoa. And what about the other band in Pasadena? Is that also
That's even
large?
larger. I think it's like 13 or 12 or something like that, because there are 5 horns when we're all there, plus all the rhythm and everything
Wow.
else. Yeah,
Okay,
it's
so
crazy.
educate me. What's the difference between a band and an orchestra? Is it have to do with the instruments? Does it have to do with the size?
Typically, I would say it's a string section, but I mean, like the Harry James Orchestra didn't have a string section in it. They were a big band. You know what I mean? Now, so I don't know if the distinction is even like has any point to it anymore.
Interesting.
But orchestral music was more, involved with strings or classical literature kind of thing, and then the orchestra would play it. The NBC Orchestra,
Right.
with their string section. But it's like, I don't know. I think you can have a band that's an orchestra without strings. So
I get it.
Yeah.
We were talking off air. You and I have some similar quirks. Should we call them quirks?
Oh man, yeah.
Well, and one of them is the non-stop jukebox in the head. You constantly hear music just like I do, don't you?
So what happens is it's 3:00 in the morning. I'm waking up, and immediately there's a song that's going through my head,
Right.
and it'll be the most obscure thing. It could be like a Mamas and Papas tune or a Turtles tune or something from Rush, but it'll be there, and I'll be like hearing that exact thing like I'm listening to an iTunes rec, and it just goes.
It goes.
And then when I go back to sleep, it's off, I hope.
And when you're listening, are you also not only hearing melody, are you hearing words too?
Oh, I'm hearing the whole thing.
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too. I was telling you I will write it down because, like you said, when you wake up, that song is over and you moved on to another song. And sometimes I'll just want to capture it because besides doing this talk show, I have a show prior to this called Marsha's Music Shuffle, and I laid down 90 minutes worth of music, and I want it to be a shuffle. I don't want it to all sound the same, and I'll just get an idea and I'll think, oh, that'd be perfect. I'll write that one down. I won't remember it in the morning, but there's always. What did you say? There's even some kind of something. What were you saying, that there's a condition about people that hear music?
Well, Dr. Oliver Wendell Sachs wrote a book called Musicophilia. My daughter Nicola actually bought it for me for my birthday one year. And there are people that suffer from this condition, and it's like it cripples them, psychologically. They can't go on with their lives because the music is so present,
Yeah. I don't feel crippled. I actually enjoy it.
Yeah, and I imagine that would happen too, For me, sometimes it's an annoyance. Sometimes it's really cool because there are certain passages of the music that are just different or unique in some way, like a Beatles song where they just move very uniquely in a certain way, and my brain just wraps around and it'll start looping like an 8-bar section over and over and over again, and that's when it just gets really annoying.
Crazy.
Yeah, turn it off.
So let's talk a little bit about current events. So what was your take on the Led Zeppelin trial that we had here in Los Angeles last week?
Well, I really feel like that Taurus just did not have a leg to stand on at all, because what Led Zeppelin did was just borrow basically a musical phrase, like a sentence, like you and I would be communicating with each other. This is a musical sentence. It's part of a musical phrase, and it's just a chord progression that moves in a certain way that is common to 1,000 songs. So to go after that, it just seems so obscure to me, like money grubbing a little bit. That's just my take on it.
Right. It was big. There was a lot of conversation about that because the trial was here in Los Angeles.
Right.
And those guys are not. I mean, Led Zeppelin guys, Robert Plant and Robert Plant and what's the other guy's name? I forget.
Richard Simmons.
No, not Richard Simmons. Richard Simmons has curly hair and striped pants. No, whatever the other guy's name. Anyway, they showed up. They don't live here, do they? Don't they live in the UK?
I think they're UK guys.
Yeah. Right, exactly.
Yeah.
But it was the band called The Spirit? Is that? Or is the
Spirit was the band, I think, and Taurus was probably the tune or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah.
When you're just not listening to the music in your head and you're not making music, what do you like to listen to? If you were to put the radio on, would you listen to the radio?
I'm sorry to say I never listen to the radio because the music they play is just, I'm not interested in it. Yeah.
So do you record? Did you listen to your own playlist? Do you have a library of music? So what if I was to look at your playlist right now? What would be one of the songs that would be on your playlist?
Something from Jonathan Brooke, Michael Brecker, Jan Garbarek.
And I have not heard of
Weather Report.
I haven't heard of any 4 of those.
No.
Are the independent bands? What kind of music do they play?
They're just very good musicians, and with sometimes their own label or they're represented by somebody, but just making very unique, cool music.
Instrumentals, not song,
Jan
not
Garbarek
music?
is, Weather Report's instrumental. A lot of music. Jonathan Brooks vocal.
Do any of those instrumentals ever make it to soundtracks to movies?
Yes, some do.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's a whole different genre, right? Of writing that kind of music with the intent.
It is. And then there are happy accidents where somebody hears something, a movie producer, and they say, I want that on my movie, and then somebody becomes famous as a result of that.
It's interesting. American Girl, evidently the band was on stage and they were just tuning up or something like that, and the next thing you know, they're listening to it and going, I think that could. Well, let's keep playing that. Start singing. And I guess if you're musical, you can probably start to do something like that. Whether you play a guitar or you play the trombone, do you play every day?
I try to.
Do you? Every day. And something new, something that you just enjoy?
It'll depend a lot on what I'm working on. There's a gentleman that I'm starting to do some playing with now. His name's Bill Fulton. And Bill's got an 8-piece group that is, to my way of thinking, it probably could be easily one of the best bands in L.A.
Oh, that's
we're going to start doing some playing live here. But, we'll talk more about that.
Sure, we are. But
that's my cue.
That's your cue.
I'm getting the hook.
What are we listening to?
Beginnings. Jimmy Pankow. What a bone player, man. Ah.
What a bone player.
Yeah.
I now have a whole new way of describing that instrument you play.
Yep.
It's brass. Is it brass?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
All right, everybody.
Sweet brass.
Sweet brass. We're listening to Chicago play Beginnings because we're just beginning the show. We're going to take a quick break. I hope you're enjoying this time with Rock and myself. Stay tuned, and we'll be right back because then we're going to talk about voiceovers. All right. You're listening to Born to Talk, and I'm Marsha. Stay tuned, everybody.
wish I could sing it to you. Oh, oh, I'm silent, silent, la 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 la. Never think of the right words to say when I kiss you. I feel 1,000 different feelings, color of chills all over my body. And when I feel them, I quickly try to decide which one.
Hi, this is Dr. J, inviting you to join us every Tuesdays at 11 a.m. for the Happy Health Radio Show. Join us as we discuss issues affecting your health and well-being, where we listen, analyze, and talk with a heart. So don't forget to tune into Happy Health Radio Show every Tuesdays at 11 a.m. exclusively on latalklive.com. You can also catch us on iTunes Radio R&B, Radio Flag, TuneIn Radio, Live 365, AHA Radio, TiVo Radio, and Apple TV Radio. Or just watch and listen directly at latalklive.com. Reality radio, handcrafted for your listening and viewing pleasure. This is LA Talk Live. We are more than just talk.
Hi, this is Elena, inviting you to join me every Wednesday at noon for Elena's Beauty Talk and more, exclusively on LA Talk Live. You can also catch us on iTunes Radio R&B or watch us on Ustream.tv. Reality radio, handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
Welcome back, everybody. We're listening to Baker Street. This is Jerry Rafferty. Doesn't it have a great song? Have you guys done this? Do you ever do this on stage?
You know, I keep a list of songs at the rock band that I'd like them to do at some point, to kind of do like the rock vibe on it. And this is on the list. We haven't done it yet, but it's on there.
It's a great sound, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
I love it. All right. Well, welcome back, everybody, because we've talked about music. Now we're moving over to, I don't know why I suddenly felt like I had to talk lower. We're going to talk about voiceovers. Just even the title, voiceover, I think that, what does that even mean, voiceover?
It originally harkens back to voice over music. So in any shot, be it in a movie or a commercial, you're seeing an image or a series of images going by, but the talking head isn't actually, you're not seeing him on camera. You're hearing this voice from outer space kind of thing. That's the voice over the content.
That's
sort of
interesting.
thing.
How did you get involved in this field?
When I was working as a musician back here in the mid to late 80s, a lot of players would say, "Man, you have this voice. You should be doing voice work." I'm going, I don't know, really, And so I started hanging around a couple studios where they were doing lip syncing and like adding dubs to foreign films and stuff like that. And somebody knew somebody kind of thing. So I got into the studio and I just thought, wow, this is so cool. And I'll never get into this market in LA. It's killing. These guys were so good. So I decided to take a kind of a back road into it and get into radio instead, with the theory being that I could be a production guy or like a morning show producer and just start doing a lot of voice work and just doing it constantly. And took some lessons and, started doing that. And after 10 years, I started doing my own business, for clients as a voice artist.
When you tell me a little bit about the radio background, were you doing that here in Los Angeles?
I was kind of a consultant, a woman named Karen Sharp, who's Love Songs on the Coast.
Of course.
She was very, very kind and took me under her wing for a while, so I kind of, helped out around the studio and stuff, glorified producer, but she was really just showing me the ropes. But that was my only LA exposure, and after that I moved to Colorado, and within a couple months I was on the air at a radio station.
When you were
there.
with Karen, you weren't on. We didn't hear you.
You did not hear me. She's got that killer voice, and what they do there is just untouchable, So
I mean, it's really funny for those of us that live here. I mean, that's such a brand, isn't it?
Oh goodness, yeah.
Do they? I don't even know if it's still on. Does it? I don't listen to Coast any longer.
I think she is still on.
Wow.
I think that's a long run.
Yes, indeed.
In that position, I know it's got to have its pressure to it, but she's top pro.
Wow. When you were in Colorado, then were you on mic? Were people listening to you?
I was, and my first job in radio was a little station in Vail, Colorado. Okay, and I started as the overnight guy, right? And then within a couple of months, they moved me to nights. And then the afternoon guy, he had been a mainstay with the station for at least 10 years. He's out on a golf course in the Vail Valley, and he gets struck by lightning, and he's dead. So the program directors, who were from Los Angeles, they said, "Hey, you're a Mr. LA guy. How'd you like to come in and be the afternoon dude?" I'm like, "Okay." So 3 months in radio, a guy dies, and I've got an afternoon gig on a radio station.
Oh, man.
And there were more deaths that would happen at that station as time went on before I left.
You probably should have thought about leaving.
I became the program director because they ended up kicking them out, and then there was another death. The owner of the station died.
Oh,
it was really tripped out. My first gig in radio.
No kidding.
Wacky.
So, and did you spin music? I mean, is that what you did? Was it?
Oh yeah.
I was a DJ. It was you were a DJ. So what kind of music did you play?
They called it adult contemporary at the time. We were doing, but there was their version of it, and we were doing like, I don't know, Bonnie Raitt and whoever was big that back then, Celine Dion maybe, or whatever. I don't know.
What year? What decade was
this? This was have been 89, 90.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Boy George. Okay, maybe not. So that was your radio thing. Then
that
you
was
got
the radio thing.
Then you got into the voiceovers. Is that a real competitive field?
Yeah, it's become much more highly competitive. When I first started in it, there was more room, for people, and especially because I have this sort of range of voice that I do my thing in. And as you said, it is kind of a unique thing. So that helped me. But boy, the competition now is just by numbers. Everybody thinks, gee, I want to become a voiceover person because they lost their job as a programmer, or they lost their job in radio, or they lost their job as a bicycle courier. I'm going to be a voiceover guy, because they can just set up a microphone and plug in a USB mic into their computer, and they're like broadcasting. Yeah.
Do you find that there are more men in this field than women, or is it pretty evenly matched?
There probably are, but I know there are a lot of women working and have great careers in voiceover.
But you never see them, and you never know who they are. Do you even get credit on a program?
I do for some, like I narrate some fishing shows, believe it or not.
Bassmasters?
For the Collegiate Bass Tournament, I do for Cabela's and Fox Outdoors, and they'll give me credits on there and stuff.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So walk me through the day in the life of Mr. Voiceover. What does that look like?
Yeah, so as I mentioned earlier, it starts very early in the morning. I'm looking at scripts. I'm determining what auditions I'm going to do. My agents, New York City. Shout out to ACM Talent, Mark Gus. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark.
Yep.
Okay.
They're sending me scripts, and I'm deciding what I think I might have a shot at, kind of thing. And then I have my regular clients. I mean, everything from performing arts centers to IndyCar racing to Jumbotron stuff to Kenny Chesney live at Verizon Amphitheater Music, that kind of stuff. I'm just everything you can imagine. I do work for the U.S. government, reading training narratives like for their nuclear facilities. So if you're somebody coming in there and you need to know what button not to push, kind of thing, So I do a lot of that. And
so you're reading a script.
I'm reading scripts. They typically email to me. Yeah.
And then you practice. And then do you go to a studio to record it? How do you do that?
So in the back of our house, we have a separate area, and I've built it out as a studio, kind of like this studio here, a little bit smaller. No, it's a lot smaller. And I have my microphone set up on my little gear, and so I can record things, and then I'll typically email them back or post them FTP, just find some way of getting the stuff back to them. And clients can also direct me live. There's technology out there so they can be with me while I'm reading, and they might be in New York or Nashville or Seattle, and I'm sitting in my little studio in Ladera Heights,
Right.
and recording, and we're doing a spot. And before, like sometimes the same day it will be on the air. That's how fast things are moving
Isn't
in
that
this world.
something?
Yeah.
Have you ever done like cartoons or anything like that? That kind of animated stuff?
I did one. It was back in the early 90s, and I can't even tell you what it was. It was a very obscure thing, but some like video cartoon project kind of thing, but not much of that work.
So you do commercial work. You'll do a lot of commercials.
A lot of commercial, and as I said, like a live sports arena, concert arena type of things. My voice lends itself to that really, really well. And I do a lot of live announcing work. People have actually, in the last couple of years, started hiring me to do work for example, New Skin, Aramark, big corporations that bring me out to do their global conventions.
I think that's really great. Do you miss being in front of a camera at all, or you prefer to not be in front of a camera? How do you see that?
You know, I did some on-camera commercials, and you know, it was just awkward for me because back in the day, all I could think about is how do I look? How am I presenting myself?
Right.
And I think the way that works is you completely forget about yourself and you just do the thing like we're doing here. It's nobody, you know, we don't know what we're doing. We're just here.
Right.
You know, but so I was too self-conscious. I couldn't get out of my own head.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So have you ever considered doing any kind of sports commentating at all? I mean, that's a whole different field altogether, right?
It is. There's the specialized knowledge you have to have about the sport. Now, if it's disc golf, I could talk about that all day long. I could be that guy.
You could be that guy, couldn't you?
I
could. You could do a play-by-play with your disc.
Unfortunately, you know, the level of commentating and broadcast coverage for disc golf has not risen to my level yet.
Yes,
you know what I'm saying?
Yes, I'm afraid I do know what you're saying.
Yeah.
Well, how do you suppose this industry, you've been in it for 20 years now, right?
Yeah, 23 years.
All right.
Yeah.
How has it changed? How's the technology changed?
Oh my gosh, it's just incredible. It's like when you imagine what telephones were, for example, back in like 1988, right?
Right.
And what they are now, so it's kind of similar. I mean, you used to have all this gear. I mean, I can't imagine a 5-foot rack filled with this component, this component, and then a tape machine, and you're splicing tape and doing all this stuff.
Yes.
Those machines are all gone now and replaced by one computer. You know, so I run off a MacBook Pro and I plug in my stuff, and I've got software, whether it's a lot of people use Pro Tools, I use Logic, you know, but that's what we're doing. And all of those things that were in that rack are gone. So the amount of space you need is really small. And in fact, I have a travel setup that I take with me when I'm on the road. I can record commercials for people in Berlin, be on there the same day when I'm sitting in Nashville in a hotel room, basically.
Do you speak any other languages?
No.
Wow.
I'm just working on this one.
Well,
still.
you're doing fine.
Thank you.
Yeah, I wouldn't complain. So it has changed. Technology's changed for everybody. I mean, who thought they could, you know, talk on the phone in their car?
I know.
And hands free.
Yeah.
And then ask Siri, you know, how do you get there? And you ask Waze, oh, you don't go that way because you're making left turns, and Waze isn't going to have you make your left turns anymore, so you're going to go a little farther down the road. The technology in all of our lives has changed so dramatically. Who would have thought you could have a radio show that people could watch? When people say to me, so tell me, what channel are you on? And they're like, well, I'm not on a channel. Well, then why? How can you call it a radio show? I said, well, it's because it's internet. Oh, what is that? You have to have a computer? Well, yes. Or you could use your phone. And, well, I can watch you too. Yes, you can actually watch me too.
Oh yeah.
It is remarkable. So it doesn't surprise me that your industry also has changed a lot. What do you like the most about it?
I love the ease, the compact nature of all the gear. I mean, just not having to schlep a lot of stuff and have this big space dedicated for recording and producing now. I mean, it's all done on a laptop. It's just amazing to me. I love that aspect of it.
Tell me what producing means to you when you say you've recorded. Now
one of my clients is a performing arts center in the West Palm Beach area. I've been with them for 18 years now.
Wow.
19 are my longest term client, and they'll send me a script. or I'll write it, or my wife will, and we all voice it. I'll have the voice work down there. The Kravis Center presents Lonette McKee, or whatever it might be, and then I'll find her music and I'll put the music underneath it and then produce it so it's like you can hear the song and then me talking in song, and come out and buy tickets now at www.kravis.org, that kind of thing. So
that's how much time do you think you spend doing that?
I'll typically spend, for a 30-second spot, it'll take me, I want to spend an hour on that to make sure everything's right and working properly, so about an hour per 30 seconds probably.
That's interesting.
Producing. Reading, a lot quicker.
Oh, yeah.
Most of my clients now are just send me the script, I read it, and it's done.
Can you do it in one take?
I could, and there have been instances, even with clients on the line where they're listening and going, okay, let's do this, and we've got 5 people assembled, from New York and whatever, and I'm sitting there on the line and I'll read it. Wow. Okay, well, let's just get some other takes because we have you here, kind of thing. But, I usually pre-read these things 10 times before I, audition or read live to a client. So. And
how long would a typical situation like that be, where you've read something, you've looked at the script, and now you're going to read it for the client? Is that a minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes?
They want, there are some funny videos out there about, the voiceover talent not nailing what the director wants. And there's a classic one out there with Santa Claus. He's in the booth trying to record, ho, 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 ho. And the producer's going, no. I want more intensity. Ho, 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 ho. And there's like 80 takes of Santa Claus doing this thing, and he's sweating, falling apart, and the producers are all yelling at each other. But there are those sessions, but anyhow.
That doesn't sound like fun.
I usually avoid those sessions.
I was going to say, so what was one that stands out as being really cool that you just really loved?
Oh, gosh, there have been many, many of them. It's the bigger jobs. It's the bigger clients. Like I did a read for IndyCar Racing when they unveiled their inside track, and it was this 1 mile loop that used to be called the old course before they expanded it out to the one that we see on TV every day. Well, they resurrected that course, and they were going to start bringing back the vintage cars. So I did this narrative for them on that. It was like a 2-minute piece, and it gives you goosebumps. I get chilled out when I read those things. I can actually feel it. It's like this is going to connect with somebody.
Well, and I imagine that's what makes you so successful at what you do, because if you do feel it, that also comes through, that people sense that you're not just reading a script, that you're in somebody's ear. Somebody is listening to you, and it has an impact. I think that's pretty exciting.
That's the benchmark. When I'm reading something, and even if it's mundane stuff, like for the smokeless ashtray or something like that, that's really probably not going to move anybody, yes. But you still want to connect to the person who's going to be using this thing, whatever it is, or having this experience, whether it's a concert or, whatever it might be. So
I bet.
Yeah.
It sounds like fun.
It's tremendously fun, and it's always different. Like your radio show. It's like you don't know who's going to be sitting where I am. You could be talking about astrophysics one day and disc golf the next.
Exactly.
So, and that's the way my job is.
Yes. I feel like every week I come to a new job.
Yeah. Exactly.
And producing a new show and getting to learn what that guest is passionate about. And that's what the beauty of doing this. And that's, I guess, what you say is the beauty of what you do, is that something's different, and you get to look forward to it, and it keeps you fresh and keeps you excited.
Like I say to all my friends, I'm a font of knowledge for about 60 seconds worth of any subject, So.
Gosh. Well, I know we're going to put your website up so people can learn more about you. But this is the song I was telling you about. Now, do you know what this is?
No.
This is called Who's Gonna Help Brother Get Further with Elvis Costello.
Oh, yeah.
Have you heard it before?
I have not. This is new music for me, Marsha.
Isn't this cool?
This is really cool.
I know.
Oh, yeah. I'm tapping my feet. My Doc Martens are going right now. Oh, yeah.
You wearing flip-flops. What are you talking about?
Oh, no, baby.
No, they're your Docs. Well, we're going to take a break.
Okay.
And then we're going to come back. Why? We're going to talk about disc golf. Oh, my God. You're listening to Born to Talk, Marsha and Rock. Stay tuned, everybody. We'll be right back.
There's old dude standing on the corner waiting for a fox to pass. The only thing he's got to go by
Hey, shout us out. What's the count? I'm your host. I am WDC. Tune in to WDC Radio on LA Talk Live every Saturday at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Time for sickle cell trait awareness, lupus, bullying, mental health, and all different aspects of life. So tune in to WDC Radio right here on LA Talk Live. Also, you can listen to us on iTunes, Live 365, YouTube, and Ustream. And don't forget Apple TV and Roku right here on LA Talk Live, where we're more than just talk. Shout us out. What's the count?
Welcome, this is Greg, inviting you to tune in Saturday, 6 p.m. to the Mystic Ballroom. All vinyl most of the time, and we'll cover psychedelic, soul, garage, and much, much more. Myself and the Young Mogul will bring you this every Saturday at 6 p.m. exclusively on latalklive.com. You can also catch us on iTunes Radio R&B, Live 365 Radio, Flag TuneIn Radio, AHA Radio, TV Radio, and Apple TV Radio. Or you can listen directly at latalklive.com. Reality radio, handcrafted for yours and mine listening and viewing pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
So the name of this song is Do It Again by Steely Dan.
Go back, Jack, and do it again. Yep.
Do it again. Because I know you said you're in the Steely Dan band, so
yes.
Cover band, so this is probably a song you're pretty darn familiar with.
We do, yeah, and our band plays the heck out of it. Yeah.
They were a great band. When did they start? Do you remember?
Steely Dan, gosh, late 60s, early 70s. I know it was, either late 60s, early 70s, but a long time ago.
They're a terrific band.
Yep.
Well, now we've talked about music, we've talked about voiceovers, but now we're going to talk about what you do on your special days, including even that Summer of George.
Do you know what this means? Do you know why I'm wearing it?
Well, I think that there's a picture of a disc golf basket on there. Is that right?
Can I show the listeners? Yeah.
Yes,
right
indeed. There you have it right there.
Summer of George, it says.
Yes.
With the disc golf basket in the distance. So there was a Seinfeld episode.
Yeah.
Back in the day. And George decides this is his summer. It's the summer of George, And he's having this conversation with Jerry at this little cafe. He's sitting there on the sidewalk, and he says, Jerry, Frolf, Frisbee golf. It's going to be big someday. So this is it. This is part of the summer of George right here. Yeah, it was a Seinfeld reference. Yeah.
I didn't know disc golf had been around that long. That's so funny.
I guess, yeah.
So I don't know that most people know what disc golf is and the association that you're involved in. So I have to give a shout out to my cousin Justin Lieberman, who is a disc golfer who coordinates the tournaments up in
Waller Park, Santa Maria. Justin, dude!
Way to go, Justin. All right, so let's talk about your disc golf experience.
It started, I got the bug. A friend of mine who actually lives in Santa Maria.
All right.
I go to visit him. I was living in Florida at the time. He says, you got to play this park. You got to check out disc golf. I'm like, what is disc golf? So you have these specially made Frisbees that are made for the sport, and you throw these at targets. They're baskets, for lack of a better term, and they basically sit up about 6 feet high, and they have chains that drape down, and they collect in a basket at the bottom. The objective is to get the disc in the basket. And take the fewest amount of strokes to do that. Just like in ball golf, get the ball in the cup, fewest amount of strokes to do that. Same thing.
Do you start? Okay, so explain how the game works. So is the basket certain distance away from a starting point, and then do you move and?
They'll have tee pads, okay? So and you'll move and you'll walk a course just like you will a golf course. Here's this hole, here's the second hole, here's the third hole. Typically 18 like they do in golf. Waller
18.
has 27 though.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right.
It's a special course, and you have different looks. Sometimes you'll have like a hole that favors a right-handed backhand throw, sometimes a left backhand, sometimes a straight, sometimes there's trees everywhere, you got to get through them. You can do roller shots where you roll the Frisbee through the trees, all kinds of stuff you can do with this.
Are the discs standardized? In other words, do they all have to weigh the same amount? Do they all have to be the same circumference? Is there a standard disc?
There are different weights and there are different shapes so that they do different things. In other words, if you take the same throw of, say, you throw one disc and it'll go straight. You take the same throw and throw another disc, it'll go way off to the right.
You know, the reason I asked is about a month or so ago, I had lawn bowlers here, and their bowl, which is what their ball is, they're embedded, and depending upon how you hold that bowl will determine if it angles to the right, if it angles to the left. So that's why I was curious in your sport. So depending upon what you're trying to do may require picking up one disc over another. Is that what you're saying?
That is correct. Yeah, and there are a lot of different moves you can do with your hand positioning to release it in a certain way so that the disc will do something, it'll behave in a different manner.
So do you think about it the same way you would think about golf? So the tee or the basket is way wherever. How far away would a typical basket be from the tee pad?
What I like to say is compared to ball golf, where you have something in ball golf that's 300 yards long or 400 yards long, in disc golf you have 300 feet or 400 feet long.
And so you're never going to get a basket in one, are you?
There are many of those out there. I've got a couple on my little card there.
No kidding. Yep. So that's possible. And what about if it goes out of bounds or something like that? Or do you have hazards?
Stroke. Yeah, there are hazards, out of bounds, a lot of out of bounds in disc golf. That's part of the game where it becomes like a target shooting element to make it more interesting.
So you've just launched this disc and it's gone wherever it's gone. Then do you place it there, and then do you go from that shot to the next, just like golf would be?
Exactly, just like golf. Played in the same manner.
Really?
Yep.
And now it's a professional organization, correct?
Professional Disc Golf Association, the PDGA. Yep, I've been involved with them. You know, I signed up and I'm a member for a long time now.
Do you have a house place? I mean, do you have a house course that you would always go to?
Like a home course?
Like a home course?
It's tough here because in West LA there really isn't much. There was a Pollywog Park that was down by Manhattan Beach.
Absolutely.
But somebody, I think there was a lot of people and the discs really wasn't working out. So the nearest courses for me are in Sylmar. There's Long Beach, El Dorado, over off Studebaker and Willow. That's a great park. And
Pasadena?
Yes, Oak Grove, Hahamunga Park.
Now, there are competitions, right?
They have competitions. They do. Yeah, they do nationally ranked ones, and they do smaller ones, local course ones and stuff.
And do you have categories based by gender, by age, by abilities?
All that. Yeah, they have Grandmaster, which is like 50 and up to 59. And then they have Advanced Grandmaster, which is the same age group but kind of a pro. And then they have recreational division, Open, which is like the the Tiger Woods division kind of thing.
Got it.
Yeah, stuff like that.
Is it international?
Indeed it is. It's huge in Japan, Germany, Switzerland, Denmark. They all are way, way whacked out on disc golf. Yeah.
Just like lawn bowling. I mean, it sounds to me similar in the organizational structure. So what's the highest level that you've competed at?
Joined the pro card, on some of these events now that are nationally ranked tournaments. And boy, there are some really, really good players out there.
Yeah.
And I joined the pro card because in the other ones I was doing kind of too well, so I needed a bigger challenge. But it's really hard to win I've met that challenge. Yeah. Well, I've certainly, rapped with that challenge anyhow.
How long does it take to complete the course?
Depends on the course, but usually about an hour and a half if you have two guys. If it's just one guy, you can do it in 45 minutes, under an hour kind of thing.
You know how in golf there's shooting ranges and putting greens and things like that to practice. Do you have something like that in disc golf where you can just practice?
Not really. I have a friend who's got this idea. He wants to have like an airplane hangar built with a moving floor, so you throw the discs out there and they come back to you. But maybe that'll take off someday. I don't know.
So you can't really practice till you go, or do you have some time to practice prior to competing?
Yeah, typically you want to just get out onto a field, like a football field or a soccer field or a baseball field, and just go throw the disc. Like take every disc and just throw it a bunch of times and try to get it, to where you want it to go, kind of thing.
How does it compare in size to the standard frisbee?
It's small. It's typically smaller and tighter. Like some of those big beach frisbees are like 12 inches or 11 inches. These are like 9.5 inches, 10 inches. And if you got hit by a driver, like right off the tee pad, it could kill you, probably.
Really?
Yeah.
Can you ever, I suppose you could lose control, right?
That happens all the time.
And is the way you position your feet, does that have an area as to how you release as well?
It does. So, in other words, if you were the basket, I would my profile would be facing you. I'd be I'm going like this perpendicular to the basket, and then I'm throwing this way. So people think when they start out they're throwing to the basket. It's totally the opposite. It's perpendicular too.
Wow.
So yeah.
That's so cool.
It's the best sport in the world. I love it. I just absolutely love it.
It sounds terrific. Speaking of sports, and we've got a holiday coming up. The 4th of July is next Monday, and so that means Marsha has a day off. And I wanted to not forget the fact that I'm going to have a rebroadcast show. I had a show last April, I think, with Dr. Ravinder Singh. He's a neurologist. He's the founder of the Beverly Hills Headache Institute. And as I said to him, headaches do not take a vacation. And he really is an expert in the field of really serious headaches, migraines. He's written a book, Honey, Not Tonight, I Have a Headache. Kind of a funny sound, but not really a funny subject. So Dr. Singh will be seen next week in place of my regular broadcast. And then the following week, I'm going to have Ferran Dozier, who is actually running the boards right now. He's doing...
Ferran, baby.
Ferran is a master of radio, and I'm looking forward to having him here. So thanks for running the board today. To Jay, week 2, thanks for being here, Jay, and doing my social media. You need a millennial to do social media, people, and I'm grateful for that. And to you, Rock, what fun.
Thank you, Marsha. This was great.
It was really, really great.
Yeah.
And as I close my show, I do wish you a beautiful day, and I look forward to seeing you around the neighborhood, right? And thank you, Laura Davis, because if it wasn't for Laura Davis, you and I would not have met. I'd have been remiss in not mentioning her. So have a great day, everybody, and we'll see you live in 2 weeks. Bye now.